Hi, my name is TajaSymone Evans, and this is my advanced video production self reflection rise model. Um, Overall, my attitude and logic and behaviors influence my project by, I just went into everything with a clear head and with like a really open mindset to learning. And I feel like in order for you to learn a skill that you've never done before, a skill that you're not really good at, that you need to go into it with an open head and an open mind so that way you can learn as much as you possibly can. So I feel like that going in with that attitude did influence my projects for the better. So it made me not be so into my own head about everything, even if I wasn't good at it. Just try your complete best and take heed to all the feedback. If I had to grade my overall performance on a 100-point scale, based not on that effort, I'm content that I earned, at least a 90 on that part. If I had to grade it on effort, I would give myself an 100 just because I felt like I put a lot of effort into my assignments, even though they were all, they weren't professional quality or anything like that. I still went into everything with an open mind and an open heart, so that way I could create the best projects possible. So I would give myself a 90, just because maybe an 85, just because I'm not a videographer. I don't do video production, so I was just trying my best to my complete ability and using all the resources that I did have available. As I started working on my projects, I realized I did want to learn more about video production in itself, as well as shooting sequences, because that was something that was a little more difficult for me. I had to watch a lot of tutorials besides the ones that were assigned to us in our assignments, to watch those tutorials and watch those YouTube videos. I also went off and did my own research to try to figure out how to really shoot sequences properly, or the process of shooting a sequence. So I feel like that was something that I really wanted to learn more about. I also learned a lot of like small tips and tricks of working inside Adobe Premiere. That I know how to use Adobe Premiere, but these little tips and tricks and hotkeys really did help as well. So I realized I wanted to know more about the program itself. The resources that were available to me were, of course, the internet overall. I use the internet as a really big resource. Reading the textbook that we are assigned and watching a bunch of different tutorials from a bunch of different videographers and video production career-driven people. So I feel like those were some really good resources as well. I also use the resources of my father-in-law, who is a professional videographer. He does freelance work for a few different companies, and he's a contractor videographer. He's a contracted videographer, so I use a lot of his insight because he went through a degree program before where he's done video production. That's what his degree is in. So I use him as a resource. He was a really good mentor. It was like having two teachers. So that really did help me a lot because I'm not video production savvy. So having him help me did help um, a lot of my work. A lot of my workflow and help my overall assignment. And I also used the resource of my own friends and family, just because having someone else look at some work that you've done, it's kind of like getting a better look at it or a different perspective on it because you're using a different set of eyes. So there's that. I use that as a resource. It was really helpful to be able to get view my assignments from a different perspective. If I would have had more time, I would have definitely shot more B-roll. I did feel like I shot a lot of B-roll, but I didn't feel like I had a lot of variety in my shots, which did bother me a lot. I did try a lot of different times and a few different times to shoot more B-roll for my assignment, but the weather just wasn't on my side a lot of the time. And living in Florida, it just made things very difficult. It was either too really really dark outside and too late into the night, or it was raining. So it made it really difficult for me to catch a lot of outside shots. So if I would have more time, I would have shot more B-roll and shot better B-roll. What I have done differently to improve my projects is just that. I would have literally shot more B-roll and used a different, use more variety in my shots to be able to create the type of things I was trying to create. So I would have done that differently. I know that more B-roll and better B-roll would definitely have improved my projects. How will I use this in my career? Being that I want to do content creation and graphic design, as my career in the future, I know that, knowing video production, knowing a little bit of every part of the industry is very helpful. So I know that knowing some video production skills and having that skill using knowing how to use those programs like Final Cut and knowing how to use Adobe Premiere, that will help me in my career. What advice that I would give to future students in this course is really take in the feedback and don't be so into yourself, or don't feel bad about the feedback, because it's not anything judging towards your personal character. It's all about your work in those assignments. So don't take it very seriously, but don't take it seriously towards your own character. I made sure that I really took heed to the feedback, because it was very important to me to be able to execute things that were outlined in the feedback. So I made sure that every time I did an assignment or worked on a video, worked on the projects, I would kind of pull up in a separate window like the last little paragraph of feedback that I received, so that way I was able to execute those things and make sure I was running them, executing those things properly, making those changes, making those adjustments. So I know that feedback is very important. I'll take feedback from anybody that you can possibly can, especially anybody that you respect highly, like your professor. So that's the advice I would give to other students. Thank you.